The Smashing Machine tells the story of the mixed martial arts and UFC fighter Mark Kerr as he goes through a strong winning streak, leading him to multiple hardships in and out of the ring. Hello and welcome to Cinema, where we focus on the film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of The Smashing Machine. Was it good? Was it bad? Or somewhere right in the middle? Or if you're waiting for this review to decide if you're going to see it or not, and taking it right in a positive. The Smashing Machine is very unique, directed by Benny Sadby, who has done other great films alongside his brother, which is the good things and what we got out of Uncut Gems, but pulling himself onto his own feet, there's something great about the direction of this story, where it's more of a documentary style than a flat-out drama that goes about the same inspirational, motivational message you expect to go. This has a more organic plot to it because it is inspired by a true story covering the events of Mark Kerr from 1997 when he started his UFC career to 2000, and following about that becomes very compelling just by the documentary style that it takes on. Yet it feels very organic by the handheld camera movements going from place to place. Overall, what we're following about becomes very compelling, and Dwayne Johnson as the lead role as Mark Kerr just really stands out within his performance. I always liked some of his previous performances before, but this is something that if you didn't take him too seriously, because of all the action shenanigans, things that you suspend your disbelief so many more in his other films, this is more sustained, more set in place. It's not too recognizable what he looks like because they kind of get him pretty close in one sense to the actual person themselves. And following about that, we get this supporting role of his girlfriend, that is Emily Blunt, and what she does in the role of his girlfriend performs effectively within the nature of how she has to support him through different hardships, and those hardships become a common theme throughout the film. While you start out this film sort of going on a winning streak, being an undefeated champion, and becoming so legendary for the start of these UFC and mixed martial arts type of tournaments, it's something that even though I don't follow that type of sports, any form of wrestling, any form of boxing, and even though it doesn't have the motivational expression that you may expect out of the Rocky franchise, there's something that's still big in what it voices to the audience within its themes, because it's about getting up after you're leading on to some falls, but also accepting the losses that you need to in order to mature, in order to grow as a person, to get better on yourself, especially for this one man that is constantly winning in life, constantly getting everything he needs to, and also achieving this success through all the different tournaments that he goes on through, the biggest tournaments that you can go within the MMA. So that just becomes a very clear point that becomes compelling, that has a means to be translated on screen, and adapting it into this documentary handheld camera style is something that bleeds out more organically and more effectively than what could have been a showy type of film that was more drama-esque, more flashy within its cinematography, within quick camera movements. This just feels so much more real to the life that is expressing, and even though it's not showing the real person until some of the egg credits, even though it's not translating some things word for word, of course, there's certain things about it that just is informational. Yeah, it still has some of the entertainment where it needs to, while still showing the hardships from these emotional roles that pull about along the way, which creates such great substance to the organic plot that it is expressing as a whole. Which takes me into the mix element. As I expressed, this is not the inspirational, motivational type of film you may be going into expecting a normal type of story or something that's less documentary style. This will follow along a pretty tame and chill pace to where it's falling about. For some, it may be too slow, but that's why I'm trying to get you ready for what you are about to watch if you choose to watch it. So after this review, following along this, it's something that's important to take in and to accept all of these different things. But for some people, it may not click quite as well because it's more of that different style. It's not along the lines of the Rocky franchise. A lot of different fights, a lot of different drama that coincides along the way. It's something you need to tame your expectations, not in the quality sense, but more so in the idea of what you are taking in. Benny Sadfi has been known to direct alongside his brother for these high adrenaline films such as Uncut Gems and Good Time. This one, it doesn't have those fast-paced chase sequences. It doesn't have a lot of fights throughout it, but when it does add those fights, they're sufficient to what the story is asking, and all the in-between time shows some of the hardship that you're dealing with when in his own life. It deals with some harsh language, some drug abuse, but that is respectively shown to what you're taking out of it. So it's just a blend of some things that people may tend to accept and embrace, whether you knew about that to begin with or not. It is something that was not the film I was expecting, and so there was something that I may receive a lot more upon the rewatch, having not known to expect the documentary style, but still embracing it and translating what this film is trying to express, what the writer and the director was trying to translate to the audience in a different form of means rather than the traditional fictional type of quick pace route that would be more motivational than what would otherwise drown out all of the messaging that this film is ultimately taking on based on a true story. So there's something of a mixed bag that could throw some people off, but I still think film is important by its own means. Which takes me into the negatives. Of course, there's some things that may be inaccurate. I haven't followed up with that information just as of yet, and I would love to see if you are familiar with Mark Kerr, whether he is accurate in this depiction of the story. But there's also certain things, whether it is accurate or not, that I would have liked to have more scenes with Emily Blunt as his wife being portrayed within the story, having a few more scenes and a couple more with the trainer, showing a little bit more organic relationship between that. And while there is some of that temperament, the dialogue that flows about, those are the close-knit realms between each of them. There's some things that are a little lost in translation just by embracing all the emotion, the build up to some things. Of course, this is a thing where there was life before this film started, life after this film started, but certain things could build upon along the way with a little bit better of something that I would have asked for a little bit more from those side characters. So that's just my personal thoughts on No Smashing Machine, which I have to rate a simply 7.5 out of 10. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of No Smashing Machine. Was it good? Was it bad? Or somewhere right in the middle? Or if you're waiting for this review to decide if you're going to see it or not. And that's just all, and make sure to do yourself a favor and go watch a movie.